Faster, cheaper, better, but in 10 years' time. That's the government's promise for its shiny new system replacing the Resource Management Act. The RMA is being replaced by 3 laws which aim to produce better planning, improved environmental protection and a reduction in the complexity of resource consents. It will compact 100 RMA plans into just 15, one for each region, and is promising countrywide savings of $150 million a year. The legislation will be passed by next year's election, but all the changes won't be fully in force for another decade. Here's political editor Jenna Lynch.
When I say RMA, builders say
complex.
The Resource Management Act. Everyone has a horror story. Peter Wolfkamp, site foreman on the Block NZ, has too many.
It is not uncommon to have discussions with clients where, projects are held up because of the time it's taken to process those resource consents.
Planner Hamish Firth has spent the last 25 years dealing with it.
It had probably had more additions than the Edmonds cookbook.
Every edition more complex than the last.
What we've found over the years, it's got harder and harder to get the same piece of paper out of council.
So step aside, Daft Punk. Here's the government's RMA remix.
Cheaper, faster and better. Easier, cheaper and quicker to consent.
It's ripping the RMA to shreds, promising a better bill years in the making.
So today's the day.
It'll be replaced with 3 bits of law, one focused on planning, one which sets the rules for land use and allocation of resources, and one dealing with climate change adaptation. To protect the environment, people will now need to prove they can improve outcomes rather than mitigate adverse effects. So, for instance, improving the swimmability of our rivers, not just slowing the rate of their demise.
How long will it take to get them back to swimmable? A generation in some areas. Can we stop the degradation a lot faster than that? Yes, we can. 100
planning laws will be simplified down to 15, one for every region, with a committee to decide each.
Councils are just like anybody else. We've got to go through the same blooming process. So it is frustrating.
Hamish Firth reckons he'll still be wading through bureaucratic treacle.
The length of time and the uncertainty, and time is money.
Anecdotally, Newshub's been told a consent takes 3 to 10 months to get.
When this is fully implemented, what will that timeframe be?
Substantially lower.
There's no measurable target on that, just quicker.
Promise New Zealanders.
Yes, I promise.
But he's replacing the 900-page behemoth that is the RMA with 3 pieces of law totalling 800 pages.
There's not a lot of reduction in bureaucracy, uncertainty, complexity and speed of implementation.
So the Nats have been on about RMA reform for a decade, won't support it.
Well, kia ora, Jenna. How long until we see the benefits of this?
Even longer than it takes to get a consent, easier and cheaper perhaps, but the government may have jumped the nail gun on faster. This RMA reno job is going to take at least a decade. First job is to pass the legislation through this place. They're promising to have that done in time for next year's election, but that's when all of the ripping back of the red tape really happens. They're going to start with 3 regions as test cases, get their plans together and then use those as a sort of blueprint for the rest of the country. 10 years is too long for the National Party, but the opposition had no proposition of how they would do things any cheaper, any better or any faster.
OK, so don't hold your breath. Jenna, thanks so much.